pledge. I commit to be vigilant and bear in mind at all times the risk to myself and my colleagues from COVID-19. I promise to take all necessary precautions that prevent the spread of this deadly virus. I promise to follow and encourage others to follow the key COVID appropriate behaviors, to always wear a mask, face cover, especially when in public places, to maintain a minimum distance of 6 feet from others, to wash my hands frequently and thoroughly with soap and water. Together, we will win this fight against COVID-19.
Good afternoon. So we will get into the new chapter or a new concept. So that will be India in the 18th century. India in the 18th century. So already we have talked about the world history, the modern world and revolutions and the civil war. So whatever we talked in the previous classes, so that were all like almost like a world histories. Now we will get into the Indian history. So in that first and foremost the concept, so we are going to talk under this topic, that is India in the 18th century. So in this topic, so we will be talking about two concepts. One, we will be talking about decline of the Mughal Empire. Because already when you are in class 7th, you have studied about the Mughal Empire. Then we will be talking about second topic, rise of regional kingdoms. These two concepts, so we are going to talk under this particular concept called India in the 18th century. So first and foremost topic of this lesson is decline of the Mughal Empire. I hope you know about Mughal Empire. Last year you have studied in your class 7th. Mughal Empire, which was established by, founded by Babur. Then after Babur we are having, Humayun. Then after Humayun we are having Akbar, one of the great personality. And after Akbar, you know, many personalities are there, like Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. So like this, the Mughal rule established and founded, and it started to go on. Okay, so this you might have studied in your, previous classes. Okay, the previous concepts which you might have studied. So today's class, so we will be studying about a concept called decline of Mughal Empire. Because you know, the Mughal Empire almost like 1206. Okay, 1206, the establish of Mughal Empire. So from there to till the entry of a British, one of the a long ruling emperor or a long ruling empire. So in our country or in India, so that will be the Mughals. Okay, so Mughals are the one who have ruled us for many years. Okay, almost many years. They started to rule from, 13th century they started to rule. Till 18th century they have ruled our country. The India has been ruled by the Mughals. Okay, such a long ruling empire. So in 18th century, it gets the decline. Okay, so that decline made one more group of people to, enter India, and they started to rule us. Okay, so this class, so we will be talking about the completely what were the reasons or what are the reasons that made the decline of Mughal Empire. So that we are going to talk in this particular, lesson. Before entering into the, the reasons for the, for the Mughal Empire's decline, So, introduction we will see. The first and foremost thing you can see here is decline of Mughal Empire in 18th century. Okay, decline of Mughal Empire started in 18th century. When I say 18th century, it is not in the beginning of the 18th century, but half of the 18th century, the decline of Mughal Empire started. Okay, almost in the 18th century, the half of the period, the last half of the period, the decline started. Okay, and you can see here, one of the major reason what made us to tell that in the 18th century, okay, in the 18th century, the decline of Mughal Empire started. So what made us to tell, if you see, there was a political domination of, okay, political domination is nothing but the India was to be, or India was getting into the hands of someone to be ruled in our country. That someone are nothing but English East India Company. Okay, that is nothing but British people. Okay, half of the 18th century, slowly the India was under the control of, or India was going into the control of English East India Company. British people started having a domination over. Okay, so that made us to tell that half of the 18th century, the decline of Mughal Emperor, slowly it started. And now for us the reason is, now as I said, Mughal Empire almost ruled by many kings. Okay, many kings. That's the reason why always when we see Mughal Empire, when we study, we classify the kings into two groups, like early Mughals and later Mughals. Okay, later Mughals, in your textbook it is given. Okay, in your textbook, page number 48, in that they have given all later Mughals, who are the later Mughal kings. Then who are the, early Mughals? If you see, one is Babur, then after that Humayun, then we are having Akbar, then we are, after Akbar we are having, Jahangir, then we are having Shah Jahan, then we are having Aurangzeb. Okay, so like this we are having the early Mughals. Okay, in these 6 early Mughals, the last early Mughal will be a person who is known as Aurangzeb, who has almost ruled the Mughal Emperor for 50 years. It is been said that his kingship was one of the reason to shake the Mughal Empire. The reason is complete the system of administration, complete the system of the economic policies or the revenue policies, whatever was implemented in Mughal Emperor before Aurangzeb, like Jahangir or Shah Jahan or Akbar, everything totally, completely he changed. Okay, the complete system of administration changed by an Aurangzeb, that made to shake on the, Mughal Empire. So that is the reason we call the later, early Mughal, in that one of the king, Aurangzeb is the one more. Aurangzeb is also one of the reason to show us that the beginning of the half of the 18th century, we had a decline of Mughal Empire started. And next what we are having is the great Mughals was followed by a war of succession. Okay, after Aurangzeb, whoever took the kingship, we call them as the later Mughals. Okay, like it starts from Bahadur Shah and it ends with Bahadur Shah Jafar. Okay, Bahadur Shah starts and it ends with Bahadur Shah Jafar. One of the last king of the Mughals, almost the 9 famous kings. And what had happened after Aurangzeb, whoever took the kingship, they themselves had a fight, almost like a civil wars. For a kingship, there was a fight between the, different the personalities in the Mughals. Okay, that civil war or the fight between the later Mughals for the kingship, that is also one of the reasons for the decline of Mughal Empire. Okay, so these are some of the reasons, or to say that, I quoted all these 3 things only for to say that 18th century, in the half of the 18th century, the decline of Mughal Empire started to take up. Okay, that's the one aspect, so which we are going on. Now we will go with the reasons for the decline of Mughal Empire. Okay, one by one, we will start talking about the reasons. So almost there are many reasons to be quoted for the decline of, the Mughal Empire. Almost we are having several reasons. Okay, so almost we are having 8 reasons we are having. 8 major causes or major reasons for the decline of, Mughals. So in that today's class we will be talking about the 3 major the causes. So in that first one is politics in the Mughal court. Politics in the Mughal court. Politics means, I hope everybody know. Politics means a way of rule. Okay. During the time of this later Mughal, how was the system of political rule in the Mughal court? If you see, it was classified based on the 4 groups of nobles. You know nobles, mantris. They are the people who always plays an important role in the kingdom. If there is a kingdom, if there is a king, to the king there should be mantris and mahamantris. So like that for Islamic kingdom, the nobles. So after the early Mughals, when it was passed to the later Mughals, when it passed, kingship was passed, during the time of their rule, the Mughal court classified into 4 groups of nobles. They themselves classified the 4 groups of nobles. What are the 4 groups if you see? One is Irani groups of nobles. Okay, they are from Persia. And the Turanis, one group of noble. They are from Transoxia. And Afghanis, they are from the border regions of river Indus. The mountain range. So there, Indus. Then Hindustanis, that is Indian nobles. So like this, the Mughal court, the politics was under the control of 4 different nobles. Within one kingdom, having 4 groups of nobles. This having a 4 groups of noble itself is the one of the reason to spoil the politics of the Mughal court. So which became a reason. How these 4 groups of nobles became the reason, if you see, you can see here, constant struggle for power. So there was a clash between these 4 groups of noble only to have a power. Okay, and at the same time, jealousies and rivalries. There was no good understanding between these 4 groups of nobles. Okay, these 4 groups of nobles, they had a jealous between themselves, and because of jealous, now and then the small rivalry, a fight between these nobles itself started to take place. Okay, so because of these 4 groups were created, and because of their constant struggle for a power and their jealous and rivalries, it did not affect the nobles, but it affected the Mughal administration, the prestige of a Mughal, and the authority of a Mughal. Okay, so when administration, prestige and authority of a Mughal, when it was affected by these 4 groups of people, and that was exposed, that was seen by somebody. That seen by somebody is nothing but English East India Company. That made, that gave a chance for the British East India Company or English East India Company to establish their power in India. So this is the politics in the Mughal court. So one of the reasons, one of the reason we are having for the decline of Mughals. And the second reason, if you see, that is jagirdari crisis. Okay, jagirdari crisis. That is the second reason, so which we are having it. What is this jagirdari crisis? If you see, as you all know, when Mughal Emperor was ruled at the time of Akbar had introduced a system called Mansabdar system. Okay, Mansabdar system, where for the Mughal officers, they were for their service, they are given a piece of land. Okay, or piece of land in the name of their service to the Mughal court. Okay, so it was practiced from the Akbar's period onwards, it was practiced. So like that it was continued. Even later Mughals, what did they do? They started to practice. So since Akbar, he started giving the, having this Mansabdar system, because he was a good king, he was ruling well and he was conquering the places, he was expanding his kingdoms. Okay, his empire was expanded. So that is the reason he was able to give the Mansabdar system, or the piece of land, to the officers, as since they are under their service to the Mughals. But later Mughals, they are not conquering the places, they are not ruling the Mughal court. What the Mughal court was having by his forefathers, whoever has ruled, so that itself they started to give. So when they started to give, so what happened? The Mughal empire, which was a very big empire, which was almost to rule the entire India, slowly by slowly, it started to become small. Okay, how it started to become, the Mughal empire started to become, small, or how the Mughal empire started to give their, jagirdari crisis, if you see here, exist of most profitable jagiris among the rival nobles. Okay, jagiris or jagirdars, jagirdari is nothing but the land holders there. They are given a piece of land and they have to hold. So here, for the nobles, this profitable, the holding of an lands, that was profitable. Okay, where for political rule and for their power and to have influence. Okay, so that is the reason. So what did they do? Exist of profitable jagiris among the nobles. Nobles themselves started to have this, the concept of jagirdari crisis. Okay, holding of the lands. And the Mughal officers were given the jagiris in the form of a payment for their service. Okay, since they have rendered the service, you are giving a piece of land to a jagiris. One fine day, so what happened? There was no piece of land, okay, there was no piece of, jagirdari or jagiris to be given to the officers who rendered the service to the Mughal court. So such situation, what they did, whatever the lands were there on the name of crowns, that means kings, on the name of Mughal court or Mughal empire, that slowly by slowly they started to convert into a jagiri lands and they started to give to the nobles for their service. Okay, finally. Now suppose if I am giving one piece of land to a noble, that is to that particular noble. He is the person who is who is having the responsibility, ownership to that land. Okay, so like that, one fine day, so what happened? Giving all the crown loans, it resulted in loss of revenue. There was no enough revenue was collected to a Mughal court. Because whatever the land was there with them, that was given to the nobles. Nobles and all, they are a part of an Mughal court. They are Mughal empire. So they did not pay any revenue. Okay, so that is the reason the loss of revenue started to take place. Then slowly by slowly, the empty of royal treasury, there was no money at all. And that made the decline of power. Okay, so this is the jagirdari crisis, so which made the decline of Mughal empire. And the third one we are having, that is the wars of successions. Okay, so exist of civil wars between the nobles themselves. Okay, nobles themselves, they had civil wars. Okay, there was a fight or a clash between the rulers of Mughals, that is especially with the nobles. Okay, that clashes between what they had a clashes only for the political and power and influence. Okay, for that, the civil wars, number of fight and clashes started to take place between the nobles. That did not affect the nobles, but it affected the resources of the Mughal. Okay, the resources, whatever was there in the Mughal court, that they started to do, so which was very costly and destructive. Okay, that made to drain the resources of the empire. Okay. And at the same time, it made a political upheavals. Okay, upheavals. That is, upheavals means sudden change. When later Mughals, when they took up a kingship, there was completely a sudden change in the political way of rule. Okay, a monopoly rule means, a single rule. Okay, that single person's rule turned into the various personalities' rule during the later Mughals, which changed the entire political scenario of the Mughal Empire. And it made empire unstable and weak. Okay, so when they themselves started to fight, that fight exposed that Mughal Empire is unstable. Mughal Empire is unstable. It's not strong. It's not, it's completely, the kings, those who are there, they are weak. So that gave a chance or opportunity for the British people to establish their political domination in India. That is in Mughal court. Okay, so these are the three causes which we are having for the decline of Mughal Empire. So next class we will see with some more causes. Thank you.